Hey guys, so today we're going to look at some more phrasal verbs. This group of phrasal verbs uses the participle back, so we're not using a preposition this time. Back in this context is an adverb. So we're going to look at just a smaller group of phrasal verbs today. There's four meanings that we're going to look at for the phrasal verbs with back. So we have some phrasal verbs that mean to return, memory, react, and regain. Okay, so they're the four main meanings we're going to look at. I'm going to explain each one of them and give you some examples for each. So the first one we're going to look at is talking about return. So the first phrasal verb is to bounce back. Okay, so bounce back, well, first of all, bounce is what you do if you're playing basketball. You'll bounce the ball. So to bounce back, it's normally used when we're talking about returning to a good condition. So for example, I could say she was sick, but she bounced back very quickly. Okay, so the meaning is she was sick, but she returned to good health. She returned to a good condition very quickly. So it can be used in different contexts, but it's often used when we're talking about somebody's health. The next one in this group where we're talking about returning is to double back. Okay, so to double back, it's normally used when we're talking about moving. It could be walking, driving, running, taking the train, taking a bus, whatever it is. When you return in the same direction that you originally came from. Okay, so imagine you're driving or walking in a particular route, and then you decide to change direction and go back in the same direction that you came. So to double back, we often use in the context where we missed something or where we lost something, and we double back to try and find it again. Okay, so an example would be we drove past the house and had to double back. Okay, so the meaning is we drove past the house and then we returned on the same route, but in the opposite direction. The next group of phrasal verbs with the adverb back is when we're talking about memory. So the first one we could say would be to bring back. So to bring something back means to cause a memory, so to cause you to remember something. Often it's to talk about good memories, but can also be used to talk about bad memories. So for example, we could say, that song really brings me back. Okay, so the meaning here is that song causes memories to come back to my mind, and causes me to almost travel in my memory back to a moment in the past. Another phrasal verb that we can put into this group where we're talking about memory is to look back. Okay, so to look back literally means to turn and look behind you. But when we're talking about this phrasal verb in the context of memory, when we say to look back, we mean to reconsider something. Okay, so to consider something again. Often it's used in the negative, so we could say that I haven't looked back. Okay, so an example would be we decided to do it and haven't looked back since. So the meaning is we made a decision, we decided to do something, whatever that might be, and we haven't reconsidered it. We haven't thought about it again. Okay, so we haven't looked back. So an example you might have would be I decided to move to Ireland to learn English and I haven't looked back since. Okay, so the meaning is I'm happy with my decision. The next group we're going to look at is phrasal verbs where the meaning of back is to mean to react to something. So the first one would be to talk back. Okay, so this is when we speak in response to what somebody else said. But when we say to talk back, there's a meaning of you're speaking to somebody who's in authority, but you're not speaking to them with respect. Okay, so this is often used in the context of school, particularly in primary and secondary school, where where children are dealing with their teachers. So the example we could say that the kids were told not to talk back to their teacher. Okay, so that means the kids were told not to speak to their teacher with disrespect. So when the teacher says something, to talk back would be when the kids maybe contradict what the teacher is saying, argue with the teacher, and don't show the proper respect to the teacher. So this would be what we would call talking back. A simple phrasal verb that we could put into this group as well, where we're talking about reacting, would be to write back. So when you're sending a friend a message on WhatsApp or on Facebook or whatever way you're communicating by text, you can ask the person to write back. And the meaning here is simply to respond. So you could say, if you wanted, you could say, please respond to my message. Okay, If you say, please respond to my message, it sounds quite formal, so it's probably not the correct way when you're speaking to a friend or you're speaking in an informal situation. So the best way to say this would be to write back. Okay, so I could say, I asked her to write back to my email, okay, or I need to write back to her email. The meaning is I have a responsibility to respond to this, okay? But when I say respond, it sounds very formal. When I say write back, it sounds a bit more relaxed, a little bit more informal. The last group of phrasal verbs that we're looking at with the participle back is to regain, okay? So to regain, the meaning is that you had something, you lost it, and then you got this thing again, okay? So that's to regain something. So the first one would be simply to get back, okay? To get back can mean to regain a skill or an ability that you had in the past and you want to get it again, okay? So for example, I could say, it will take me some time to get my fluency back, okay? So the meaning is I had fluency in a particular language, then I lost the fluency maybe because I didn't practice it. And if I want to regain the fluency, I will say that I want to get the fluency back, okay? So the example is, it will take me some time to get my fluency back. Okay, so the meaning is, it will take me some time to regain my fluency. Again, when we say get back rather than saying regain, it sounds more informal, more natural in day-to-day spoken English. And then the final phrasal verb that we will put into this group is to claw back. Okay, so a claw is like the sharp nails that a cat or another animal might have. When we say to claw back, it means to regain control of something that is maybe difficult or takes a lot of effort, okay? This phrasal verb is one that's used a lot in more formal context. It's often used when we're talking about getting control again of power or getting control again of money. So it would be used a lot in the context of politics or in the context of business. So we could say, for example, they need to claw back 50 million euro in their next budget. Okay, so this could be when we're talking about politicians who make their yearly budget and they need to get control again of 50 million euro. Okay, so to claw back means that they had this, they lost it, and then they want to regain the control of it. So this is an example of a phrasal verb where it's normally used in a more formal context, a business context, whereas the other ones we've looked at tend to be used in more informal contexts. These videos are all available on our Instagram and on our YouTube channel, so have a look back. There's 100 different phrasal verbs that we've gone through at this stage, but if you have any questions, any doubts, anything like that, anything you'd like us to do in a future video, please leave it in the comments. We're going to be back very soon with more videos on different topics, but for now we're going to stop with the phrasal verbs. We'll be back shortly with more videos about different topics. For now we're going to stop with the phrasal verbs, but thanks for watching, and as I said, any questions, please just ask.